grains aren't inflammatory. Smoke and mirrors behind low-carb diets is an article I wrote. Gee, I wish I could give you the date. I know I wrote it in January. But anyway, it's you can easily find smoke and mirrors around the Atkins diet or a low-carb diet. And in there, I listed the scientific literature that shows you that inflammation is caused by the animal foods, not by the grains, not by plant foods. I mean, what they're doing is they're lying about the science. And we know about people who lie about science, right? Like about global warming and about certain viruses that are running around. There are a lot of liars out there. And so they tell you that grains cause inflammation. They don't. Let's talk about inflammation for a minute. The body responds to injury with inflammation. It only responds by doing just a few things. There's not a lot of different mechanisms involved. It responds kind of in the same way. You injure the body. What happens is initially you get inflammatory responses, which result in swelling, heat in the local area of injury, and often pain. You know, for example, like if you pour some acid on your hand, what happens is it becomes red and inflamed and, you know, underlying hot and swollen. Or you smoke cigarettes, same thing. You injure the lungs, they produce mucus and the tissues become swollen and they're inflamed. You see inflammatory cells associated with them. You eat the rich American diet and what happens is cholesterol and fat gets stuck in the artery walls. And the injury that results leads to inflammation. The body tries to heal. So inflammation is a consequence of injury. And what you need to do is find the source of injury. Like, for example, with cigarette smoking and causing the lungs to be inflamed. You don't take steroids. I mean, maybe you do. They have inhalation steroids and oral steroids. But with the idea that it's going to cure you or stop the inflammatory response, what you want to do is you want to stop the injury, stop the smoking. Same thing with the inflamed arteries. You want to deal with the source of injury. That's the fork and spoon. And in that manner, you solve this whole inflammatory theory, science, et cetera, nonsense, pseudoscience, and everything seems to work out for you. But I think the first thing you need to do is you need to look at the truth. You know, I'd send you to the National Library of Medicine, and I'd put in foods and inflammation. You know, you'll find some articles on Google that are related to the people who promote the paleo diet and low carb Atkins type diets that are going to just plain and simple lie to you. But look at the scientific research at the National Library of Medicine, which is pubmed.gov, pubmed.gov. Go there and put in food and inflammation and see what it shows. It shows that grains do not cause inflammation, that the rich American diet does, the dairy products, the meat, et cetera, cause the inflammation. Or you can look up that article I told you, Smoke and Mirrors around low carb diets. You know, I cited the studies for you there, but it's even simpler. Just look for the research, the science, and it's all absolutely clear. There's no conflicting information in there in terms that it would mislead an intelligent person who would look at the research in an unbiased manner. Unbiased manner, that's a tough one. People get biased, professionals, scientists, doctors, dietitians, et cetera. They get biased by their own personal habits. And one of the first things that I try and observe, or I'll often ask people who have a different point of view is, what'd you have for lunch today? You know, what'd you have for dinner last night? And believe me, there are an awful lot of people who can't see beyond their own dinner plate. They get confused. On one hand, they're shoveling cholesterol and fat in their mouth. On the other hand, they're reading a scientific paper that says this will kill you. They're confused. So you got to get over people's biases and begin by finding out somebody you're talking to, what they eat themselves. You'll answer an awful lot of questions as to why they've come to such conclusions. I eat well. I think I can see the science really clearly. I don't have any biases, even though I really like to have non-dairy chocolate chip ice cream to be legal. You know, I can set that aside, and you can too. The truth is simple and easy to understand. It's consistent. And in so many ways, if we get the right message that you're a starch eater, you're a starchivore, you're a starchitarian, you realize that that plate needs to be filled with potatoes and sweet potatoes and corn and rice, the traditional foods that people have eaten. Once you realize that, you get control of your health, you get off your drugs, you get away from doctors. Now, this is your chance to have a future that you deserve. And don't be misled by fairy tales like grains cause inflammation. You can figure that one out in 5 minutes with just a little time with your computer. I'm Dr. John McDougall. Nice to talk to you.